calico covering the bedside table, the coil of grey cotton string that brought to mind the butcher's leaky net-covered roasts. When the midwife's hands came near, Mamma tried to close her knees, to shield me from ill fortune, but the urge to push could not be stopped. I was coming. And then, just as suddenly, I stopped coming. What had once moved too quickly stopped moving at all. Mamma's belly rippled and bulged a final time, then hardened into one long, unceasing contraction. Her jaw went slack. A blue vein bulged at her temple. Enrique, lingering in the open doorway, tried not to look between her legs, where the combination of taut, pearly flesh and wet hair made him think of washed-up jellyfish collapsed against the weedy shore. The midwife caught him looking and snapped the sheet back into place, over Mamma's legs and high, round abdomen. That gesture hid one disturbing view, but it only drew more attention to what remained visible. My mother's red face, beaded with sweat and contorted with pain. "Here," Mamma would say later, in recounting the story of my birth, "is where you decided to rebel. Whenever someone pushes you too hard, you do the opposite." Actually, I was stuck, feet twisted up toward my neck, rear facing the only exit. A living churro tied into a bow. The midwife grunted as her hands pushed, prodded, and massaged beneath the loosely tented sheet, a question darkening her face. Forgetting Enrique, she tore away the sheet and whimpered at the sight of a small, purple scrotum appearing at the spot where a crowning head should have been. She watched that spot for 10 minutes, twisting the cloth of her apron with red fingers. Then she panicked. Ignoring Enrique's incredulous upturned face and Luisa's round eyes, she pushed past them both and down the stairs, missing the bottom step entirely. The midwife had left to fetch her husband, who was 2 blocks away, wiping his own stained hands. She could have sent my brother or called from the balcony to one of our neighbor's fleet-footed children, but she wasn't a bright woman, and she knew that a 3rd infant death in one family would invite costly gossip. Already she could envision the sea of dark shawls that would greet her from this day forward, the back of every neighbor woman's averted head and rounded shoulders, snubbing her if I died, and my mother with me. Left unassisted, my mother summoned her resolve and tried to breathe more deeply. She felt safer with the midwife gone, ready to accept whatever happened. She asked Luisa to retrieve a bottle from the cellar and to hold it to her lips, though nausea allowed her to drink only a little. She called Enrique to come and take the forceps, to dip and scrub them in a bowl of the hottest water, to be ready. "They don't open very well," he said, struggling with the oval-shaped handles. They were fashioned from twisted iron and padded with small pieces of stitched dark leather that reminded Enrique of a sweat-stained horse saddle. "Are the pieces supposed to come apart?" "Forget it. Put them down. Use your hands." He blanched. Mamma heard Luisa start to cry and ordered her to sing. Anything, a folk song or Vamos a la Mar, a happy round they'd all chanted on picnic trips to the Mediterranean coast. "To eat fish in a wooden dish," Luisa sang again and again, and then, "I see something. It's a foot." Another push. A narrow back. With Enrique's help, a shoulder. My mother lost consciousness. I've been told I hung there for a while, the picture of blind indecision, with my head refusing to follow my pasty body, until Enrique, decisive enough for us both, stepped forward and pushed a small hand into the dark, hooking a finger around my chin. Following my final slippery emergence, he laid me on my mother's belly, still attached by the cord to the afterbirth inside her. There was no spank, no bawling cries. Mamma briefly surfaced into consciousness once again, with instructions for Enrique on how to tie the cord with the gray string in 2 places and how to cut the flattened purple cable in between. He moved me onto my mother's chest, but I didn't root. One of my legs hung more limply than the other, the hip joint disturbingly flaccid. No one cleared the white residue plugging my tiny nostrils. Mamma's arms lay at her side.